Let's go through the PRs, I guess. Start with the inbox. Pop these open. All right. Anybody have any context on this? Should I just request reviews from folks?
I don't have Apple, so I can't test.
It's a Go cigar thing, right?
I didn't think so.
Okay.
I think this is to do with I think this is just the specific linking in the way that we're linking the just look at what the changes are. Yeah, I think if you don't enable Seago on Mac OS, then you lose a lot of you lose DNS resolution and a few other things, which then cause the binary to behave in strange ways.
It's only for ARM64 anyway, so I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never really run the agent on ARM64, but I think it was
But
just
why
a
is
part
it
of.
not? Yeah, but I don't understand why the default, like we have Seago enabled false basically by default, and then only we enable it in this case. Why can't we just enable it always?
I think we want to generally have portable binaries, and if we're building on a different, if we're building against a different C library than the agent will be deployed on, then there's a risk that there's going to be problems. Well, it doesn't matter with the agent, it just with Go code in general. If you can build it OS independently, then you have a lower surface area for changes to impact you.
Yeah, that makes sense, but then I don't understand why on Darwin it won't. Like, so the
I don't think
underlying.
it's Darwin specific. I think it's ARM64. I think it's the ARM architecture that has some quirks.
But basically what you're saying is that there's underlying libraries that we're dependent on that have different behavior on Apple Silicon, right? And they need C bindings on Apple Silicon, while on other architectures it works without C bindings. They have different implementations. You're muted, Arm.
It's slightly different. So on almost all platforms besides Mac OS, Go can compile and be entirely functional using only the Go native shims for various system calls into things like libc. That isn't complete on all OSs, and specifically on Mac OS, I believe some networking capabilities are not available
core Go stuff.
Are not available in core Go. Yeah, this is not a problem with our code. This is a core Go limitation where there's certain things. One of them is DNS resolution on Mac OS, and on Linux there are other things, but I don't remember. They're just certain things that aren't implemented in the Go library.
That makes sense.
But
how do you remember this? This is really useful context.
How do I remember this? I spent a year trying to get the core Kubernetes components to compile with and without Seago, because we were trying to build FIPS capable Golang using boring SSL, which requires C. So I have a vague recollection of some strange behavior with C or no C Go.
That makes sense.
So anyway, I've requested comments. Folks can dive in. I think this is
let's merge this. Like this, I think was enough context.
Cool. Done. Ship it. branch. Right. Okay, we don't, I think this is somebody internal to Broadcom and we don't have a CLA yet, so I'm just gonna skip over this one. I think this seems fine. The other option is there have been some fallout from the switch to requiring reviewers, and I know a lot of private key based stuff broke. Did we try to fix the private key push ability, or is this the right pattern that we should be switching to? I feel like in some cases we fixed the issue for private keys, but maybe we just switched to using the bot instead.
I think for most of the stuff we're using username password.
Okay.
But yeah.
I don't know. Usually we just been allowing to use the deploy keys.
I think security-wise, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like the only upside I can see with using, like, the downside is you have a bigger surface area if you leak something, but the upside is it's easier to change the key, right? If you're using like a bot account, change the password, and then you can change it like everywhere instead of having to go to all the repos. I mean, like, yeah, pros and cons, I guess, but it's a pro and a con. But
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna approve this and merge. That seems fine. This is something that probably warrants, I'm gonna pull this over because there's two of them. This was opened, I think, primarily for discussion. Somebody internal to Broadcom was doing a lot of iteration on a fairly large POS release. And wanted to speed things up by not compressing it because the nature of the contents of the Bosch release were such that there wasn't a lot of space savings, and the time it took to run through multiple gigabytes to compress it both on the client end and on the Bosch director end was a long time. I think there's, as you discovered, Ruben, there are a lot of dragons deep in the compression decompression stuff in the agent and in the director and in the CLI. So this is definitely not something we want to
no, this is the
attempt lightly.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the parallel, but my change was also changing out the not shelling out again anymore, right? And I think this is just about adding a flag.
This is about modifying a flag. Whether these PRs got the stuff in all the right places is a question. I heard about this, but I haven't actually looked into the code paths that are going to get impacted, that might get impacted.
This is like how is the option pass? Like how do you determine if you're gonna compress it or not?
I believe
that's probably a
that
different
is,
PR.
This is a separate PR for the
CLI then, I guess.
Yeah, this is the Bosch CLI.
I see. Yeah, there's the no compression flag. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if it's behind a flag, right, and it's an option, then the impact is pretty
lower,
localized, I guess.
Yeah. I'll ask folks to take a look. Definitely some folks on our internal team were gun shy about making this change. I think you're right. If it is behind a flag, it's not so bad.
Yeah. It's default behavior doesn't change. It's just
yeah, but
yeah, I'm just not sure whether there's any there'll be anything that we'll need to change on the Bosch director itself, potentially.
But, I mean, like if it's not compressed and you're passing it to tar, right, on the receiving end, it will just probably work. Maybe, I don't know if tar is smart enough to decompress a non, like, is this an optional flag? Like, so what happens if
I
a
think
tar
it
is not
may.
compressed and you pass it to tar to decompress it with the same flags? Do you also need to pass the right flags, right? Like it's basically on the agent side. Like this will all like, so there's the Bosch director, which will, you upload a release and then it will unpack this release and put it in the blob store. But then there's also, because it's nested as well, right? So you have the per package tar balls. I think those end up in the blob store, and those get then passed to the agent. Also, there's a
Yeah.
compilation, right? So this is if it's
Mhm.
just the this
It's
is
just
for
these two
creating a
places,
release. It's not a compiled release. Ideally, they want to do this for a compiled release.
Yeah.
Because
Well, they
if
may
you're
want to do it for. I think they want you. I think in order to gain efficiencies, you have to do it for everything, not just.
I mean, in the end, it doesn't really like. I know their case, and it's the compiled release that they are eventually shipping. Like if it's in CI, it doesn't really matter, right? But if it's the
I think
compile,
it's. I think the person is actually concerned about CI and local dev testing because of the round trip cost of building a release locally and pushing it up to um,
I mean,
a development
in a
server.
few
And
weeks from now, it's only gonna be AI agents that are doing the dev anyway. So who cares?
all right, I'll let you leave that comment.
You soon will be replaced by an AI. Why bother?
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I mean it's oh, this is what I got myself into now.
This is what you got yourself into. Congratulations, Ruben.
Thank you.
Um,
I will send my bot after them.
Excellent. All right, this I'm gonna reviewer. All right, I think this is just the addition of Ali Cloud. There's a formatting issue in here, but otherwise it seems fine.
Odd, because if you scroll up in the same file, it's Ali Cloud is also there.
Weird.
Yeah, exactly. So in all infrastructure, so it's even in the same order. So I'm a bit wondering. 115,
It's
115.
yeah, but I think this is all, and then this is noble.
Exactly. No, I'm just wondering
Yeah.
about the GoLint error.
My guess is that it's spaces and not tabs.
Okay, that could be.
Yeah. And Felix, nice. That looks like it's probably fine. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll let the GitHub robots take a look at that. And then I think this is another Ruben. This is the Bosch agent side of that pulling in
Oh, there's the removing the C flag
Mhm.
for tar extraction. Yeah.
Yeah. Add other folks in case you want to dive in. Wait, I thought I approved this. What happened?
Formatting of this PR looks like AI to me. Oh, is that our template? The summary changes problem. That's probably our template.
Probably our changes. Probably our template.
Just not used to people actually using the template and not deleting half of it. That's what I would do.
Alrighty. Okay, so that's left there. Fix label key. Okay, that's take a look at the pending. I've been out for a little while. Does anybody have context on
So I think
this
that's
one?
related to the other PR, which is about nick groups. So this is basically doing the acceptance test enhancements for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about the last comment from Ahmed in the PR, this is being worked on.
Okay.
If we merge the nick feature and before the test is done, I guess this can be added afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
We already have the main test logic for the nick groups. This is like an
Okay.
edge case.
Nice. Okay.
Also, you tested that like a different version of the director in the CPI also works just fine. Like the old director and the new CPI.
Okay. Yeah, I think as long as it's backwards compatible, because some things won't have some CPIs won't support nick groups. So.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm not gonna YOLO approve this, but if anybody wants to jump in and approve, it seems like we could do this now or do this after the nick group stuff lands. Some more test stuff for AWS. Is there anything we should talk about here?
This is ready, right? I guess. I mean, that's also related to the other implementation PR, but
Yeah. Most of Felix's comments were addressed. So I guess when Felix has the time to take a look. But I think it's fine.
Yeah, I was briefly looking at it. I saw this fetch IPv6 and prefix from metadata function that's introduced as a helper.
Mm-hmm.
Is this pattern like the pattern where we're doing stuff based on the IaaS? Is that something we do in here? Or is this a new pattern? Like, I'm just asking. Like, I'm wondering, the alternative would be to like just passing configuration down, like have Terraform create something, and but I'm not that familiar with this code base, so I just want to know, is this similar to what we're doing in other places?
So the metadata is just used here. It was added because with the prefixes, we can't really check from the VM interfaces. Just the IP address, the prefix IP address is not there. So we confirmed that it was, I guess, set by looking at the metadata and one of the files on the VM itself. And
I see. This is
yeah.
used to confirm. This is this is used to test the result, right? That's what this function is used for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
If
that
the
makes sense.
correct prefix was set, yeah. It's currently we have the metadata endpoint for AWS, but the idea is to just added for any other IaaS that we
Makes
add
sense.
prefix feature support.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know, it's really IaaS specific stuff. But I guess we have more of that in bets. Like it's a bit like, should this stuff be in the CPI or not? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I see your point. Do we want to spread logic about particular IaaSes around bats, or should bats
Yeah,
use
if
a
you look at
common
the
interface?
Yeah, look at the changes, right? Like it's basically that the Bosch, it's the first file that's being changed. It feels really specific to, I mean, it is really specific currently to AWS, and maybe that makes sense. I don't know how the other networking tests are, like how they work. And isn't there like can't you get that configuration from the interface?
Not that I have found so far for the prefix in particular. We check it in a... Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because that would be like an IaaS agnostic way to do it, right? Like as soon as you start to look into metadata, then it feels like really cloud specific.
Yeah, unfortunately, the endpoints are different for the different IaaS providers.
Yeah, I know. Like metadata is IaaS specific, right? But we are in the end configuring Linux. But like the agent is doing stuff to the interfaces, right? Like if something gets passed in, and we want to see that that's happening. But the prefix, there's no way to get a prefix.
Maybe Felix and Ansh can add to that one, but I don't think it was possible from the interfaces on the VM.
We can double check again, but I remember we also opened a ticket with AWS for that, and yeah, if I remember correctly, they said this is the only way to do it, but maybe we can check this
Or
now.
the CLI, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was we created a ticket on AWS side, right? I remember. The ask specifically to use the metadata, if I remember correctly, in the ticket.
Yeah, maybe an alternate way of getting to a more agnostic state would, would instead to be to push push the IaaS specific stuff down to the CPI. Since the CPI will probably need to know some of this anyway, this wouldn't be like a sort of like public interface on the CPI that the agent or the director would call, but that it would be a way of utilizing that code. I guess it's not going to be on the VM, so you don't have any access to it. Yeah, I'm just trying to think about, like, can all the IaaS code live with the CPI rather than be scattered throughout bats?
Like what do we want to test here, right? Like that the agent is like propagating, I don't know, it's really, this doesn't feel like the right place, right? Like to do this type of
But do we have an equivalent end-to-end test for CPIs?
We could.
We have unit tests in CPIs.
I mean, it's clear, but I mean, this is more end-to-end testing, right? From what Bosch acceptance testing is, I would not say it's Bosch direct has specific coding. It's more end-to-end test. At least that's my point of view on it.
Yeah, no, I agree that this is the right place to test it. I'm just wondering if the notion of fetching metadata and having deep knowledge of the internals of CPI of IaaS behavior should be in the BATS code base versus in the CPI code base somehow. But I don't know that BATS can, because then my concern, and maybe this is where you're going, Ruben, is that, I mean, aside from the fact that we want to really test the outcome and not the like implementation of the IaaS, but my concern would be that we end up with a bunch of IaaS specific knowledge baked into BATS and a bunch of possibly similar, maybe even identical deep knowledge about the IaaS baked into the CPI itself. And ideally we could move it so that none of the IaaS specific code was all of the IaaS specific code was in the IaaS specific code bases, the CPIs, and that somehow bats could use those to inspect the state if that's the only way that we can inspect the outcome that we want.
Yeah.
Can
Just
you
like
can you move to the spec file? I think it is below. It's been a while and I can't remember the.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is the CPI isn't going to be on the VM that's been deployed, so it's not that like mechanically it doesn't work super well.
no, so you need something from a stem cell, right? Like something you can execute from the stem cell, but maybe like it's even the agent when setting up IPv or configuring IPv6 devices, it would write out the file in a specific location with the information that like that it got passed. Like the agent gets the prefix as well, right? When it's configured.
Yeah, through the
But how do you
spec
validate that it's? I guess how do you validate that it's done the right thing to the VM?
Yeah, but I'm like that is an integration test for the agent itself, I guess.
I think that the second test covers it. So the one with the checks inspect.json, I think, which is below.
Oh yeah, that just checks the agents, but yeah, like that makes sense.
Yeah,
That at least shows that the director is passing it out to the agent, and then it's up to the agent to do the right thing, and the IS to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, as an end-to-end test, it makes sense to me that you would want to validate that the interface does in fact have a prefix assigned in an end-to-end test. It's unfortunate that you can't. It doesn't appear to be possible to get this in a Linux specific way versus an IS specific way.
Wouldn't it even be better to have a test that actually tries to like see if you can reach yourself again through that prefix instead of trying to check start a process like and bind it to that specific address within the prefix and then see if you can go out and go back in? I don't know, is that like, isn't something like that possible to do? Or have two VMs spin up with prefixes and test if you can actually, like that would be an actual integration test where you know that it works, right? Like you can reach it by
at least for prefixes, when we talked with AWS, they said they do not configure the local network interfaces on the VMs, and we have to do that. And for that, they were like, you can only verify local from the machine from the VM that the prefix are set by accessing the endpoint they mentioned or the IaaS console. So they do not transmit
but if
any.
you have two VMs, both with a prefix, then you should be able to connect from one VM to the other VM with a prefix, right? So we have some sort of release that we're deploying during this, right? So we could have a job that spins up, uses that prefix, has a mock thing that we try to reach. I mean, that would be a proper integration test that's IaaS agnostic.
That more is than the application side of how we want to use the prefixes.
No, it tests if it's set up properly. Like it mimics how we want to eventually use it, right? We're not deploying Diego, but we're just deploying something like Dora. But then, like, right for CF cats, we have Dora, right? The app that we keep deploying and interrogating if it actually works. Something similar could be done here.
So with the default configuration done by the agent for the networks, you can't the IP addresses for the prefix are not usable, so to say. So there has to be some further logic either integrated into the agent to really make these IP addresses usable. We thought it only being used for Diego. That's how it's being used on SAP landscapes.
But are you then gonna get Diego IS specific logic? Because that's also not great.
No, Diego actually will get the information via the spec JSON file, what prefix is assigned, and then just in, I don't know, in some script or they will inside the job they will just start some Silk overlay network, but I'm not an expert of that, and then allocate these IPs to separate containers. But that's independent of the YAS because they get to know about that via the spec.
Why do they get that? Sounds really bad. Why do they get it through the spec on the local machine, the spec JSON?
Like the spec object.
Spec objects. Okay, that
Yeah,
seems
spec
better.
object.
Yeah. No, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So they get it into a template and then they use it that way.
Exactly inside the template. Yes.
Yeah, but then we should have a job, a test job
yeah.
that does something similar, right? It actually uses that because then it's really similar to what Diego is actually using it for and how it's using it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, could think about something like that.
Aram, you're muted.
Thank you for all that context. I'm gonna move on to the next one. Oh, look, my name is in there. That's terrifying. Anybody have context on these changes? I'm guessing.
I think that's about the CLI that
That's not the S3 CLI.
exactly, yeah. The enhancements. Not to be used by Bosch, right? It was
No, I think this is just additive.
exactly.
Seems fine. I'm inclined to approve this after maybe looking through. I don't know if folks have concerns one way or the other. Seems to be entirely additive. Seems like it just moves some code around. Cool. My name's on this, so I'm sure I'll get a chance to pick this up in a little bit. Let's see, anything else we have? Let's see about these last few.
Oh wait, that other meeting started.
Yeah, I think you're
Late.
possibly late.
Ugh, okay, sorry. I think with regards to the other IPv6 things, I've proved some of those. I think they can probably get merged today. I was like concerned about the NIC group stuff, that it might be a cloud property, but people are saying it is not. I'm still not 100% convinced, but I mean, yeah, let's just go with what we have now.
So you're saying this one we should go ahead and merge. Do you want to?
I think it was that. No, this is no
There we go.
that one we just discussed. It's the other ones, right? This is about the test. I
Mm.
think this one needs some work and would be good to find another way to test this. I just did that. Just like as we were speaking. No, actually no. This is
a different one, I think.
no. That was the one we just discussed.
We have two PRs open because one is for the prefix and IPv6 allocation, and the other one is for the NIC groups.
Oh, okay. But
So,
this is the prefix. I left a comment on this one, a review just as we spoke, and now you have asked me to
now I
review it
ruined it.
again. Yeah, you ruined it. Thanks.
I ruined it. You're welcome,
All
Ruben.
my hard work. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go talk about build packs.
Good luck.
Thanks. Bye.
I'm gonna close this. I'll let you pick that up.
Yeah, so I think this is one of what Ruben was talking about. So
Okay.
this is
Looks like
already,
this.
yeah, I think that should be ready now.
Okay. I'm happy to click go on this. Is everybody else feeling good? I've been out for a few weeks, so I'm obviously not super up to speed.
Yeah, as mentioned, the big
Alright.
PR, some changes, but it's running fine for us. And yeah,
Sounds good.
try to do as many test cells as possible. Yeah.
Excellent. And then this one, are we ready
And
to
that will
go
be the
through?
second one, exactly.
Okay.
This one we have to make an announcement then that there needs to be more permissions if someone uses instance policies. If you scroll a little more up, this was also coming from
instance profiles, right?
Instance profiles or some other user policies. It
Whatever
doesn't
user,
matter.
yeah.
So this,
Okay.
will be a breaking change for people that use these strict permissions or these very specific permissions.
Yeah. Should we I don't even know what the versioning is on this. Are we just doing major version all the time on this, or should we change the versioning for the CPI?
Since long as 106 point something, we can do a major version.
Okay. Yeah, I think let's bump the major, because that'll be a good indicator. I know there's some concern internally for Broadcom for customers who might be sensitive to breakage here, but I don't think we should hold the PR for that. Does one of you mind bumping that major as soon as we merge this? I think that's maybe just in concourse.
Yeah.
All right. Very exciting. Congratulations, folks.
Let's see how many things break.
Yeah.
And then we have to update. I will update the documentation PR and then maybe request separate review. So, we didn't lose themselves still, right?
Yeah, we are still needing the agent, right? Which is broken. If we can also get that going, so then the full feature is then available on the stem cell.
Yeah, we're definitely looking into that. I think, yeah, it'd be great for us to get it moved over to the foundational infrastructure working group.
Yeah, this is item on our agenda, but maybe you go through the PRs first.
Okay. I think this is ready to land. I looked at this a long time ago before Beyhan opened this PR, and I'm not surprised that there are many changes, but it seems like the units are good, so I'm kind of feeling like merging this unless somebody else has concerns. This is the switch from AWS's V1 to V2 API for the S3 blob store thing.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. With that, this seems fine to move. Ahmed, do you have?
My only comment was, why are we not following a similar help like SCP command? So where you can specify that this is actually taking multiple sources and one target. At least I find this more readable. But I
Yeah.
guess I'm not sure if
Have we tested that works? I believe it does, but I don't.
I
Some
tried
use-
with Bosch SCP command, yes, to provide
Okay.
multiple sources with one target. So at least the help does not give you that information. And it would be nice that instead of having just passes, which you don't know what it means, and having
Yeah.
to provide a long example, that we really have a separation somehow.
That seems fine. I'm gonna. All right. I'll ping him and see if he's. I'll see him in a few hours, so I'll ping and see if he's up for that. Well, I don't want to merge any of this anyway because all those linting is broken.
That we went through, I think, right? Or is this
this
something
we already
else?
went through.
Yeah.
I'll review this when I've had a little more coffee and either merge it or not today.
Yeah, the documentation, I think Felix mentioned that we will just have to update the links, right?
Okay, yeah, so we're just waiting for link updates.
For a version, exactly.
Okay, cool. That seems great. All right. I will make sure these move to pending review in a second. See if there's any issues.
Yeah, I think if we start with the second one, because this is basically follows what you were talking about. So I managed to get a higher priority on moving things into the working group concourse pipelines. And at least my intention is to start with the agent, this one, and the OpenStack CPI. So these are the two major ones which we also use a lot lately. And the question is, how can we do that? So right now, we starting from next week, we'll only have one approver, so that will be Felix. So so we are 1 out of 8 developers have this approver role. So how can we do it in a way that we can make use of as many people as possible so that they can contribute to make this get in the community pipelines? And that is one aspect. The second aspect is all the documentation information that we need so that we can get this going as well.
Yeah, I don't know that we have much more documentation than what is in the Bosch agent repository. We don't we use, as far as I know, we use the pipeline definition that's in the CI directory of the Bosch agent for that pipeline. And then the only other details are deploying a concourse Windows worker, which have you done that internally, or does that?
No, we don't have Windows.
Okay, I can get information about our deployment. I think I can get information about the deployment where we have a Windows worker. Obviously, it'll need to be GCP as opposed to vSphere, but the configuration for deploying those Windows VMs should be just a Bosch manifest. I can put that into here. In terms of moving quickly, I would say since when we did this ourselves, moving between internal concourses, what worked pretty well was to do all the work on a branch, but to make sure that the final step of release was just not enabled. And then once the pipeline is green up until the point of like auto releasing, then merge that back to the main. Like do one PR where you continue working and you've got the pipeline running, and then when it's ready to cut over, then you can merge that in and refly the pipeline with the correct branches.
But I guess
Um,
also that needs an approval role, right?
Yeah, just that one. The flying, I don't think needs an approval role. Do you? I don't know.
I think setting the pipeline not, but accessing, yes.
Also create branches, I think also yes.
I think if you create the branch,
I mean, I
I
can
guess,
create a branch, but I don't know if others can contribute to that branch also, not sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do a similar thing with a fork where they are able to contribute, and then yeah, I guess either branch or a fork where folks can contribute, and then once you're ready, once you have a pipeline that's working, then merge that back. I mean, we're also happy to help with that, but I know that the time zones don't work out so that, you know, one of us can approve quickly enough that you can make progress.
Do we have recent examples of such migrations where we can see what needs to be modified, or maybe where do we get credentials to set the pipeline?
The pipeline credentials are based on, I think, roles in Cloud Foundry. Quick. Agent. Let's take a look at this CI. So yeah, this is currently in AWS. So tags, Nimbus is our internal system. So I think that you would maybe just change that tag to be just Windows. And looks like there's a Windows. This would be GCP Windows stem cell probably. Yeah. Otherwise that's pretty fine. Does SAP have an internal concourse that is usable? That would be another option. Like if this can't be updated on the Bosch, on the foundational infrastructure working group concourse.
You mean for testing purposes or
Yeah.
what?
Is there a concourse that's not the foundational infrastructure working group concourse that you all have access to, or is it only the one?
Yeah, we have one also internal.
Is that running on GCP or some other IaaS?
It's on GCP, right, Ansh?
AWS.
Oh, it's the IaaS, AWS.
No,
IaaS,
isn't it Google Kubernetes?
Let me check. No, we moved it to
This one.
GCP.
Yeah, we
moved
moved
it to
to
GCP.
GCP. Yes.
Yeah. Because that might be another option, is to just have a fork and run it against that concourse if you can get the approval to deploy a Windows worker. And yeah, I can drop some information in the issue, or ask some folks on my team to help with that, in terms of like how we have our VMs configured, but how we have a concourse worker configured. And Yeah, I think there aren't a lot of, there are a few cases where the worker needs to be Windows in order for the tests to run, and then most of the cases it's a Linux worker that's deploying a Windows VM and testing against the behavior of that Windows VM.
Okay, let's give it a try. Yeah, just drop any information you have that we can reuse. And if you can also get something similar for the OpenStack, that would be nice.
Yeah, I can pull the OpenStack as well. We've been flying pretty blind there. I think we about 3 or 4.
I think it's also blocked since a while, right?
Yeah, we lost our infrastructure, our internal OpenStack infrastructure. So
I mean, for me, it's yeah, if it's all following the CI folder, then we can also look there and follow something similar. Unless you have
Yeah.
something else specific, that's also fine.
I don't think
For
we
open,
have any.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think we have any specific. Yeah, I don't think we have anything outside of what's in the CI directories of the various repos. Like we don't have additional things other than the configuration to set up our actual concourse workers themselves, which I'm happy to share. But in terms of the testing, it's really only what's in the OpenStack or the Bosch agent repo.
And we can first do it internally, right, Ahmed? We can just change the target of the pipelines and then try to set the jobs internally.
Mhm.
Yeah, unless we get till we get approval for the community.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you'd need to modify the, like on your branch or on your fork, you would need to, I think you can override the target with an environment variable, but then in the pipeline itself, you'll need to change the resource definitions for the Bosch agent get resource to point to the correct location,
Yeah.
either the fork or the branch. And then, yeah, so the way we've done it, we've usually just done a local edit and not a commit and used or make a commit that we then revert. And then once we have a pipeline that works with the specific branch or the fork, then we convert it back to point to the real one and then merge it and then fly from the main branch. And that technique has worked pretty well.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure. I'm not going to bother looking at promotions because I don't think I have permissions to make changes there anyway.
But anyway, that already addresses the second issue here, and I think we have something similar for OpenStack as well that we want to look at. And yeah, so maybe we can help in these two topics.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, we're kind of at time anyway, so I'll drop notes about our Concourse Windows setup and in
That would be nice.
In the agent one, and yeah, that seems.
For the GCP credentials, you mentioned it goes through the role in the community, or?
Yes, as far as I understand. So it's the logging into the Bosch. Let me see. Logging into this happens via GitHub. And the permissions are based on group membership, I think, in this. And I don't know if it's contributor or approver. Yeah. So I think if you can log in here, that would let you check what your privileges are. I think if you get into something like this and can't trigger a build, that probably means you won't be able to fly a pipeline.
Okay. But for environment variables for GCP, for example, which might be need to create a new VM, for example, for something that is, where is that taken care of?
I believe that's also related to, I would ask Beyhan to verify, but I think that's also related to some sort of a group membership. When I log in with my work credentials into GCP, I get an option to see. Let me pull it up.
Okay.
I can show you that in a second. Let me get logged in on the other. Yeah. So when I log into Google, I see this option.
Okay.
Foundational Infrastructure Working Group.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
And I don't know exactly how that ties in to membership in Cloud Foundry, but I think it's controlled via GitHub, but I'm not 100% sure what the
Okay.
how that stuff is mapped
Yeah.
currently.
Okay. Yeah, I think I also have access. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then the concourse, access to the concourse deployment itself is via the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group CI repo in Cloud Foundry, I believe.
Okay.
And we can coordinate either with somebody on your team or with somebody on our team to like modify the concourse deployment, and concourse itself is redeployed here. So once we make the changes to that repo, we run through here. That should give us a new deployment with workers that we need.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good Thursday.
You
Thank
too.
you. You too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, you
Bye-bye.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.